Oh, little buddy. Jesus Christ. That's some funny stuff. I thought it'd be a good way to start out the video. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Trades, we freaking talk fast and don't skip class. Like to preface saying that I'm not a financial advisor or expert, so take what I say with a grain of salt. Let's get into the video. So today, my friends and my family, we're gonna give you an update on ticker symbol AMC here for the day. And we had a pretty decent day, right? It was up 4.82%. Nothing to go absolutely bonkers for, burn down a city or anything like that. But it is a good day, right? We're green. It's something to, ease your mind a little bit on the day-to-day perspective. But in the grand scheme of things, right? No green day, no red day in one specific time frame is never gonna make or break what happens here with the stock. And I want you guys to remember that. So we're gonna go over the Ortex data because there is an actual pretty interesting little piece that's happened here, as well as the short sale volume percentage ratio, so I can show you that. Finish it off with the technical analysis, and then we'll leave you on your way, just so you can go on with the rest of your day. I am going to be putting out a video going over that interview that I had with Adam Aaron. The last freaking 3 days for work have been absolutely nuts. I've been getting up at like 3 or 4 in the morning every single day to go over to the range, to the land nav site to do C-burn, which is just like gas mask and stuff. So it's been a busy week, and we've been freaking staying busy. So without further ado, baby, let's just get into this video. So we're starting off here with the Ortex data. As you can see, we had another day of a pretty significant increase, up 2.66%. Net difference borrowed of 2.86 million shares. For all the new viewers out there who are watching these videos for the first time, it says 85% of the exchange reported data. That's about the best sort of short interest data that I have available to me. If you have anything better, please feel free to let me know. So this is a conservative estimate, right? 18.81% current short interest estimate of free float is what we're rocking with right now. So I would not be surprised if it's 20, 22, 25, 30, but we use this as a baseline just so we can watch the overall trend in terms of what is happening on a day-to-day basis with the overall stock and the short interest. Utilization also going up once again. It's at 93.92%, and I'm gonna let you visualize this after we show you the short interest trend here. Parabolic move up from what appears to be about 16% or so all the way up to what we're sitting at now, 18.81. And to show you the utilization, which is essentially out of all of the shares that are available for lending, the 93.92% number, that's how many are currently being held out of what's available to borrow from lenders, right? And I'm going to show you the utilization trend because it is definitely going up, inching closer day by day by day to that 100% maxed out sort of range. You can see that right here, right? Another pretty solid day, 93.92%. The highest it's been in the last month or so is 94.51. As this gets to 100%, you increase the chances of naked short selling, failure to delivers taking place, which is i.e. synthetic shares circulating in the marketplace. The reasoning for this, very simple. When you don't have supply, you either pay a lot of demand or you create supply synthetically to decrease demand, because this cost to borrow, which is an annualized interest rate here, already starting to go up a little bit, maximum rate of about 8.29%. That represents the demand of a stock and the difficulty of borrowing a stock and the chances of coming out profitable on a stock. Higher the utilization, the higher that cost to borrow. The more assumed risk, the higher the cost to borrow, right? It just makes sense. The chances of you coming out profitably on a trade reflect on the risk levels that lenders are willing to take on in terms of that cost to borrow rate. So watch that. We'll keep you updated on a day-to-day basis just so you guys know what's cooking up. But that's pretty promising, right? Outside of the individual day-by-day stock price, which you can see right here, we had another green day. This does reflect that we're in the right direction, that shorts are still adding to their positions. How many times do we gotta teach you this lesson, old man? They just want more punishing, I guess. I don't know. It's a fascinating concept. So the short sale volume percentage ratio, this just shows you out of all the volume on any given day, how much of that was shorted volume in the last 2 trading days, excluding today, right? That would be Tuesday and Wednesday. You had 61% and 51% of the overall market volume that was shorted volume. Now that is ridiculously high. I mean, to put this in perspective, that means that yesterday, we're going to show you the overall stock price really quick. That price action that we saw, I'm showing this on daily candles so you can get the best idea. We ended up dropping on the day 0.63%, despite the fact that overall, over half of the volume was shorted volume. The day before that, we dropped 6%, which really reflects on the overall amount of shorting that went into the market on the 10th, which is 61% of the overall market volume being shorted volume, 51 million shares. So that's pretty significant data, and I'm happy to see today that despite that the shorting was so heavy, I would anticipate, just based on the Ortex numbers, we had that nice green day, 4.82%. But this brings us to the technical analysis and what I want to prepare you guys for coming into the next trading day, maybe 2 trading days. Now, the time frame in terms of technical analysis is very important. When you're looking at daily candles, that reflects more on a large scheme. When you're looking at 1-minute candles, that reflects more on the microscopic scheme. So we're going to look at the hourly candles here, and there's something that caught my attention today that I wanted to point out to you guys because this could reflect in the hourly sort of time frame in terms of price action. I would not be surprised if tomorrow, based on this setup right here, which is called a bull trap, you have a little bit of a pullback. Now, that does not mean that we're going to close red, but I do think it means sometime within the first maybe 1, 2, 3 hours of open, you would see some sort of dip back down in this sort of consolidation / range bound zone that we've been trading in here in the last couple of days. Now, where do I think it's going to drop to? Just based on this bull trap setup, I think you're likely going to see a respectance of this overall upside level of support. And the reasoning for this is because you have 3 different touch points that are respecting this ascending level right here. And I think you're going to get that nice bounce off of that level. Now, will it happen in the pre-market? Will it happen in the regular market hours? It depends, or I can't predict that. But I would say if it happens during the pre-market, you probably see it drop down to about $32. Because it happened in the regular market hours, probably $32.25 or so. You can draw this line up yourself, and it gives you an idea of where you could maybe expect some sort of dip buying opportunity if you're trying to do that. But that's where I see this going in the very short term sort of time frame. And an interesting little thing that I see right here is not only did you have a rejection on this level of resistance at about 33.82, but it also sort of stemmed from this upside level of support, right? So this previous upside level of support is now acting as resistance. So the bull case here leading into the next 1 trading day going into Friday is if you're going to break over this upside level of resistance and it diverges at that exact point of 33.82, you probably see a pretty nice move up to where I would anticipate the next level of resistance is at about $37.18 in the very short term. Now, does this matter in the grand scheme of things? No. If you're playing call options, it does matter to some extent, right? You want to be able to time your entry and your exit if that's what you decide to do. If you're not going to exercise your calls, that's your own financial responsibility, your only financial decision. But I do think it's important to look at the day-to-day time frames because it gives you an idea of what you can expect. The last thing that I want to say before we go on our way here is in terms of options trading. Options trading is risky, right? If you don't want to play with expirations, theta decay, which is essentially how much value your intrinsic value your options lose with each passing day if the stock is doing the sideways trading, I really do encourage, first off, that you take a step back and learn about options. And secondly, have some sort of game plan. Don't blindly go into calls, with AMC with the anticipation that one day you're just going to have some magic blow up, right? This is the truth. The things that we should expect as retail investors going into the stock and this overall movement, right? Don't expect some sort of magical crazy out of nowhere moment, right? It could happen, right? But that's not something that we expect going into this trade. What we expect is some sort of technical breakout, some sort of momentum to build into the stock. The short interest to get so high that the utilization gets maxed out. You have a 4-share recall, right? There's a lot of things that can move this in the right direction because we've seen it before. We've seen the momentum come. We've seen 4-share loan recalls before. We've seen shorts that get forced out of positions. Some of them, not all of them covered, right? We saw it drop from like 17% down to about 12%. It can happen again. These are the things that you expect going into this trade, which is why we look at technical analysis on a day-to-day basis so we can get an idea of when the next big move is going to happen. You can play call options if you'd like to do so, or if you want to scalp them, I guess that's up to you. That's not my preference. You guys do what you want to do, but that's the message I've got for you, right? Make sure that you have a plan with call options. Don't just gamble them because that is money getting pissed into the abyss, baby. Don't do it for me. Do it for Subway Cup. Do it for Subway Cup and do it for my freaking rambunctious Titan over here. You silly chicken, man. God, he's crazy. But the little story here. I picked him up the other day and I was fighting with him, and I've always I wasn't sure until about a week ago if he was a boy or a girl. Now I definitely know he's a boy because I picked him up and his little beep, he poked it out of his private parts. So I was like, oh buddy, don't do that to me. I don't want to see that. Put that away. Put that away, Titan. You silly freaking goofball. Anyways, that's what I've got for this video. So blah, blah, blah. I know spiel. Drop a like, consider. Catch you on the next one. Light taps always. Much love and peace.